Stop right now. Stop scrolling. Stop moving. What you are about to receive was prepared for you before this Sunday existed on any human calendar. And the fact that you are here at this precise moment is not the result of an algorithm. There was resistance designed to prevent this from reaching you. Something has been working to ensure you scrolled past. You did not. You have been praying. You have been believing. You have been faithful to a God who, by every outward measurement, has been silent. Not briefly silent, the kind of silence that stretches across seasons, that outlasts your explanations, that begins to feel less like a pause and more like a verdict. You have been performing faithfulness in the dark, and the dark has not changed. You have stopped telling people how long you have been waiting, not because the waiting is over, but because the gap between what you were promised and what you can see has become something you no longer know how to describe. You have not lost your faith, but you have lost your language for it. What you carry now has no name in the vocabulary of people who have not waited this long. There is something specific about where you are today. It is Sunday, and Sunday for you has become complicated. It carries the weight of every previous Sunday you believed would be different. Every altar call, every prophetic word, every moment of surrender that felt like the door finally cracking open. And then Monday arrived, and nothing had moved. The silence has not broken you. That is what is remarkable. It has bent you, it has pressed against you with a force that should have produced surrender, and instead, something stubborn and unresolved in you is still here, still watching, still leaning in. That stubbornness has a name I have not yet given you, but I will. There is something I need you to hold in your mind right now. Just hold it. Do not analyze it yet. Water held behind a dam does not mean no water exists. It means the water is accumulating, the pressure building, and when the release comes, it will not trickle. It will not seep gradually through the cracks. It will carve new geography. Remember that image. I will return to it. This word is not a general broadcast distributed to everyone watching. What is being released right now was compressed, held back, until this moment, this day, this precise intersection of your timeline, and what God can no longer conceal. You did not find this. This found you. And the distinction between those two sentences is the first thing you need to understand today. There was interference calculated to prevent this from landing, not metaphorical interference, a strategic construction of noise, distraction, and preemptive disappointment designed to ensure that when this word arrived, you would be too numb, too defended, or too exhausted to receive it. The enemy does not intercept meaningless mail. He intercepts what is addressed to someone whose next season threatens his current territory. If this word is already landing somewhere beneath your skepticism, if something in you recognizes what is being described even before I have named it fully, type "I am here" in the comments right now. Not as interaction, as a declaration that you showed up for what was specifically prepared for you on this Sunday. You are not responding to content. You are marking your arrival. I have something specific to deliver to you today. 3 things God has been compressing. 3 things He can no longer conceal. 3 seals breaking open on this Sunday in a precise order. But I have not yet told you the most important thing. I have not yet told you what He has been holding back, or why it required this much pressure before He could let it go. Before I name these signs, I need you to do something specific. Wherever you are, slow your breathing. Let your shoulders drop. If you have been holding tension since this began, release it now. What I am about to identify requires your full presence, not because it is difficult to understand, but because it is difficult to receive. You have spent too long defending yourself against hope. Lower that defense, just for a moment. What follows was not constructed for a general audience. These markers are specific to the private texture of your life. The things that happened in rooms no one else entered, the moments you did not post, the experiences you have had no language to describe. If you find yourself recognizing what I name before I finish the sentence, that recognition is not coincidence. It is confirmation, and it may be the first you have received in a long time. The first reason this revelation arrives now and not sooner, you recently stopped explaining yourself, not in collapse, in a different quality of surrender. You stopped trying to make others understand what you carry or what you believe is still coming. That cessation was not resignation. It was the completion of a prerequisite, what is being released required the striving to stop first. Heaven was waiting for you to release the conversation before it could release the answer. The second reason, a specific passage of scripture has been returning to you uninvited, not a verse you chose, but one that keeps finding you. Someone quoted it without knowing your situation. It appeared in a dream, in a random notification, in a conversation that had nothing to do with it. This is not pattern recognition. A word was positioned in advance for this exact moment, and it has been cycling back so that when you arrived here, you would already carry the recognition of it. The third reason, the resistance against you has recently escalated in a way that feels disproportionate. Problems that should be simple have compounded without explanation. Doors that should open have held closed with unusual stubbornness. You have read this as evidence of failure. It is not. The enemy does not escalate interference against those who are drifting away from the target. He escalates against those whose arrival is imminent. Disproportionate resistance is the geography of proximity. The fourth reason, within the last several weeks, something in you has pulled toward preparation, an urge to clear, to organize, to remove what no longer belongs without knowing what the space was for. That impulse was not random compulsion. What is entering your life cannot enter disorder. The preparation happened before the announcement because the preparation was the announcement. Your hands already knew something your mind had not yet been told. The fifth reason, and the one that will break you open if you let it, something you carried for years, something so central to your faith that releasing it felt like releasing God Himself. You recently, quietly, let it go. You did not announce it. You simply stopped holding. That release was not the end of the promise. It was the final piece required for the seal to break. Heaven could not open what you were still holding closed from the inside. Every one of those 5 markers points to the same convergence. They are not scattered evidences across different seasons of your life. They are sequential, each one removing a layer of obstruction, each one making space for the next, building in a direction that is not random. You are not experiencing isolated setbacks and coincidences. You are experiencing stages of a single detonation sequence, set in motion long before any of it reached your visible world. I gave you an image earlier, water held behind a dam, pressure accumulating. A release that carves new geography rather than trickling. I need to add a layer to that image now. The 5 things I just named were not the dam breaking. They were the final seismic readings before the structure gives way completely. The dam has already broken. You are not watching the pressure build. You are already inside the motion of the water. If you recognized yourself in at least 3 of those 5, if something beneath your logic confirmed what your reasoning is still debating, type 777 in the comments right now. Not as a number, as a covenant marker. You are not engaging with a platform. You are recording your position at the precise moment the seal broke. Heaven already has your name at this timestamp. You are simply agreeing with what was already written. What I have given you is the evidence of timing. You now know why this is arriving today and not before, but evidence without a frame is only data. In a moment, I am going to give you the structure beneath all of this. What is specifically being released, in what sequence, and what your role is within something that extends far beyond your personal situation into territory the world is not yet ready to see. There is a Hebrew word, barak, that most translations flatten into a single English equivalent, collapsing 3 simultaneous dimensions of meaning into one. That collapse has cost an entire generation one of the most consequential distinctions in prophetic understanding. What the word actually contains is the exact structure of everything I'm about to show you. The first layer of this secret is about to shatter everything you thought you knew about what God has been doing in your silence. The word is pronounced barak. You have read it hundreds of times without recognizing its full architecture. Every place your Bible renders bless or blessed, in the Psalms, in the Abrahamic covenant, in the benedictions that close the prophetic letters, this word is frequently the original beneath the translation. You have been receiving a one-dimensional rendering of a 3-dimensional reality, and that collapse is precisely why an entire generation has misread what God has been doing in their seasons of sustained silence. When most people encounter the word bless, they import a specific image, God reaching down and adding something visible. More provision, more peace, more evidence of favor in the present tense. The assumption embedded in that translation is that blessing is always additive, always experiential, always arriving in a form you can immediately detect. So when the addition does not come, when the silence extends and the visible evidence remains absent, the natural conclusion is that blessing was withheld, that God chose, for reasons unclear, not to move. What Barak actually contains is not one motion, but three simultaneous root dimensions. The first, Barak, lightning strike, not the gradual accumulation of light at sunrise. A sudden, instantaneous, irreversible illumination that permanently changes the landscape by the sheer violence of its arrival. The second, kneeling, the covenant posture of restoration, the precise moment a fractured relationship is formally healed. The third, the sudden disclosure of what was previously classified, a sealed record broken open, what was hidden now irrevocably visible. Three dimensions, one word, one sealed word that has been holding all three under compression. You now have the structure of what God has been accumulating. What he can no longer hide is not one thing. It is these three dimensions releasing simultaneously. The lightning strike of your cosmic assignment breaking into visibility, the kneeling posture of generational restoration rising to standing, the classified illumination of the name written on the white stone being opened and disclosed. The silence was not the absence of Barak. It was the pressure accumulating inside it before all three dimensions could break open together. Return to the image I gave you. Water behind the dam, pressure building, a release that would carve new geography. I need to add one layer I withheld. The water has been moving even while it was held, gathering pressure, changing composition under the force of its own containment. What is about to flood into your visible world is not the same water that first entered the reservoir. Compression transforms. What you are about to receive is not a restoration of what you had before the silence began. It is something the silence itself created. You are not getting back what you lost. You are receiving what the compression made possible. The first dimension of Barak, the lightning strike, is the first thing God can no longer hold back. And I need to be precise about what this means, because the enemy's primary strategy in this season has been to shrink your understanding of what is actually being deployed. What is breaking open is not a personal upgrade. You were not simply waiting for your circumstances to improve. You were being concealed inside a larger operation, held until a corresponding piece of the cosmic sequence locked into position. What you carry was never designed to function at the scale of one life. There was a woman whose name meant hidden, and she did not choose that name. The one responsible for her formation understood that both her survival and her destiny depended on concealment. Esther was not hidden because she was irrelevant. She had already been placed inside the palace, already in position, already living within the structure of the assignment that would one day require her. But her true identity, her actual function in that moment of history, could not be disclosed until the Kairos arrived. What the text never says is that Esther was waiting outside the door. She was already living within the structure of what she was sent to do, inside the assignment, not approaching it, while the unsealing of her identity remained pending. This is your parallel. You have read your entire season as waiting for entry. The more accurate reading is this. You are already inside the palace. You have been living within the structure of your calling without the disclosure of your identity. The concealment was not exclusion. It was protective custody until the moment of disclosure became strategic. When Mordecai came to her with the word, "For such a time as this," he was not introducing a new idea. He was naming what had been true for years before she recognized it. The Kairos was not the moment the assignment began. It was the moment the hidden season reached its endpoint, and what had been concealed could no longer be safely held. The structure had always been pointing here. The unsealing was not a start. It was the disclosure of a start that had occurred long before anyone in that palace understood it. That is where you are right now, not approaching the palace, not petitioning for entry. Already positioned inside the structure of what you were sent to accomplish, carrying a function that was written into you before you understood it, arriving at the moment when what was protected by concealment can no longer be safely held back. The door is not opening from the outside, it has already broken from within. The Kairos is not arriving, it is here. The first seal contains this. What you carry is not meant to improve your circumstances alone, though it will. It is meant to function as a hinge, a specific point in a larger structure where the weight of transition rests. You have been asking God to move your mountain, not knowing the mountain exists within a range, and your movement shifts the seismic pattern for everything connected to it. Type 3. Seals in the comments right now, not as engagement, but as a decree that you have received the first layer and you are standing ready for the second. The second dimension of Barak, the kneeling, the covenant posture of restoration, is the second thing God can no longer hide, and this is the one that will break you open if you let it reach full depth. What is being released carries a frequency. When a tuning fork is struck at its precise resonant pitch, every connected surface vibrates without being physically touched. You are the point of contact. The vibration extends in both directions simultaneously, backward into the fractures that preceded you and forward into territory that will outlast you. What is being restored is not only yours. There is a name you have been carrying silently through this entire season. Someone you have continued to bring before God long after the prayer stopped feeling productive. Someone whose restoration you have nearly categorized as too damaged, too far, or too late to expect. Hear this with precision. That name was written into this seal. The second thing God can no longer conceal involves the resolution of what was broken. In them, between you, within the line that runs through you both. Their restoration is not a separate promise waiting on a separate timeline. It is folded into yours. Bring that name forward now, not carrying the weight of every disappointment attached to it, but simply as a name. Speak it silently if you cannot speak aloud, and then say, "Your restoration is included in mine." You are not manufacturing a faith you do not feel. You are agreeing with what was written into the architecture of this unsealing before this Sunday existed on any calendar. The second seal holds more than your own breakthrough. It has always held theirs. The third dimension of Barak, the sudden illumination of what was previously classified, is the third thing God can no longer hold back. This is the layer the enemy has spent the most resources preventing from reaching you. Not because it is dangerous the way weapons are dangerous, because it is dangerous the way a deployment order is dangerous to an operation that depends on the operative not knowing they are already in the field. Your classified name is breaking open today. Revelation 2:17 describes a white stone with a name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. This is not secrecy for the sake of mystery. It is the architecture of a classified commission, sealed not because the name is shameful or unworthy, but because the operation required that the enemy not know the target before the operative was fully armored and deployed. You were not held nameless because you were forgotten. You were held classified because the mission demanded it. The unsealing is not an invitation. It is the deployment order. I will give you the 3 names in a moment. I have not yet disclosed them, not because I am withholding, but because to receive a name without the full weight of its meaning is to receive only a syllable. The third seal must rest fully in place before the names land with the force they carry. But receive this now. What is about to be named over you does not create something new. It discloses what has already been written, already been recorded, already sealed into the register before your silence began. The deepest truth is still ahead, and it has your name on it. What I am about to give you cannot be taken back. A name, once received in the Spirit, becomes operational. It does not wait for your circumstances to confirm it. It does not require your belief to function. It simply activates, the way a sealed deployment order, once broken open, changes the operative's status regardless of whether they feel ready. You have been ready longer than you know. Now comes the disclosure. The first name written over you is the unsealed one. Not someone waiting to be unsealed. The action is already completed in the heavenly record. Past tense, fixed, irreversible. What God could no longer hold back in the spiritual realm is already in motion in the visible one. You are not the one who broke through the seal. You are the one through whom the seal broke. The distinction between those two descriptions carries everything. What this name authorizes is this: you speak now with the authority of someone whose commission has already been cleared for release. You are not petitioning from outside the door. You are operating from inside a word that has already been signed, sealed, and executed in the register. What you have been carrying through this entire silence is not a burden awaiting relief. It is the payload of a deployment that just went live. The second name is the turning point. Not a person who experiences a turning in their own story, the actual hinge. The structural place where the weight of transition rests between what was and what becomes. You have been asking God to shift the landscape around you. What He has been building is architecturally more significant than that. You are not adjacent to the shift. You are what the shift turns on, the axis itself. This name carries a weight the first does not. The unsealed one speaks to what you have received. The turning point speaks to what moves because of you. Every relationship, every bloodline, every spiritual territory connected to your position, all of it is differently aligned now that you are named. You do not manage this. A hinge does not control the door. It holds the axis, and your axis is now fixed. The third name, and the deepest, is the sent. Not someone who will be sent when conditions improve, when provision appears, when fear subsides. Sent, already past tense, already mid-mission. The reason the silence felt so disorienting is that you kept waiting for a sending ceremony that had already occurred in the heavenly record. You were reading your assignment as a future event. The deployment happened while you were still waiting for the announcement. This is the name the enemy has spent the most resources preventing you from receiving, because a person who knows they are already sent does not wait for permission, does not negotiate their own adequacy, does not condition their obedience on visible confirmation. The sent simply moves, carrying a classified commission in silence, advancing through every door that opens. Whatever you have been holding back until the sending ceremony arrived, it arrived. It happened before you were ready. Move now. I gave you this image at the beginning: water held behind a dam, pressure building, a release that carves new geography. I told you the compression changed the composition of what was held. Now I add the final layer. The geography being carved has never appeared on any prior map. It does not exist behind you. It exists only ahead. The three names you have just received, the unsealed one, the turning point, the sent, are not titles. They are coordinates. If you are still here, if something in you recognized at least one of these names before I finished naming it, gently press the like. Not for me, because someone whose faith is still technically standing, but whose hands are almost too tired to keep holding, will find this word through what you just did. You are not responding to content. You are extending a sealed word to someone who is one Sunday away from letting go entirely. I promise to come back to something, and I will. But first, before the prayer can release what it holds, I have to arm you. Because what you just received, 3 names, 3 seals, a classified commission now broken open, is exactly what was being intercepted before this word found you. And the interception does not stop simply because the unsealing has occurred. There are 3 specific tactics already in motion. You need to know precisely what they look like before they arrive. What you just received is the most dangerous thing you have carried in years, not because it is heavy, but because it is live. A sealed word, broken open, does not sit quietly. It moves. And the moment it begins to move in you, something that has been monitoring your silence notices the shift. What follows is not punishment for receiving this. It is confirmation. The resistance you are about to face is the exact measure of the threat you now represent. The first tactic arrives within hours, sometimes minutes. The enemy will engineer a circumstance that looks, sounds, and feels indistinguishable from the old stall. A silence where you expected a response, a closed door where you expected movement, a non-answer where you expected confirmation. It will carry the precise texture of every previous disappointment. Your nervous system will recognize it and begin to rehearse the familiar conclusion: nothing changed. That is the counterfeit. A copy of the old season, deployed after the new one has already begun, designed to convince you that the unsealing was emotion, not reality. Your first weapon is the declaration of the timestamp. Speak it aloud, not mentally, not whispered, now and every time the echo comes. This is not my old season. The unsealing has occurred. What looks like the old silence is the enemy's echo, not God's answer. The spoken word fixes the timestamp of the shift in the spiritual record. The enemy can replicate the circumstance, he cannot replicate the sealed moment. Speaking the declaration is how you hold the line between what was and what now is. The second tactic is more sophisticated because it does not arrive wearing an enemy's face. It arrives wearing the face of someone who loves you. A trusted voice, a parent, a friend, a pastor, will offer a rational, loving, genuinely well-intentioned explanation for why this revelation cannot specifically apply to you. The delivery mechanism is wisdom. The effect is doubt. It will not feel like an attack. It will feel like care. And that is precisely what makes it the most destabilizing of the three. Your second weapon is strategic silence. You do not defend the revelation. You do not explain it, justify it, or invite debate around it. You carry what you received in concealment until the evidence makes the explanation unnecessary. This is not pride. It is the operational discipline of someone whose commission was sealed for a reason. What has been unsealed does not require your defense. It requires your faithful silence until what was declared in the spirit becomes undeniable in the visible. Protect it the way Esther protected her identity. Not forever, but until the Kairos made disclosure safe. The third tactic is the most seductive because what it offers is genuinely good. As you begin walking in your classified name, the enemy will place before you a visible, publicly recognized identity, a title, a role, acknowledgement from people whose opinion you have long valued. It will meet the surface hunger for confirmation. It will feel like answered prayer, and it will be real. The substitution is dangerous, not because it is false, but because it is a smaller true thing offered in place of a larger one. You will be tempted to settle. Your third weapon is the return to the white stone. When the substitute identity pulls, and it will, come back privately to these three declarations and speak them with no audience. The unsealed one, the turning point, the scent. Not as performance, as a recalibration that resets your internal compass to the frequency of the classified name, rather than the frequency of what the world is currently willing to confirm. The world's confirmation will follow, but your commission cannot wait for it. There is something specific I want you to do within the next 7 days. Once each morning, before any screen, before any voice, before any demand reaches you. Speak those three names aloud, not a long prayer, not a ritual. 30 seconds of positioning. You are training your spirit to answer to the right name before the counterfeit version of the day begins. 7 mornings. The practice does not create the commission. It maintains the alignment with what already exists. If you are still here, if something in you knows you needed every word of what was just given, subscribe to this channel, not for content, not for a library of videos, because the next word prepared specifically for you should find you without delay, without algorithm resistance, without the architecture of interception the enemy has spent this entire season constructing. You align your feed with what is already aligned for your next season. That is not a platform decision, it is a spiritual one. You are now armed, 3 seals received, 3 names in your hands, 3 tactics named before they arrive, 3 weapons loaded and ready. What comes next is the prayer, and the prayer is not an ending. It is the formal ratification of everything that broke open today. Stay present for it. The deepest weight of this word has not yet been spoken. What is ahead of you in the next few minutes will be the thing you carry out of this day and into the rest of your life. Close your eyes. Place one hand over your heart, not as gesture, but as declaration that what follows enters at the core level. Take a breath slower than any you have taken today. You have been carrying something through this entire word. You are about to set it down, not abandon it, but release it into hands that have always been underneath it. You are not losing anything. You are letting the weight go to its rightful place. What follows is not a prayer you are witnessing from the outside. You are not audience. You are co-declarant. Speak with me silently or aloud, as someone whose name is already in the record. We are not petitioning for what has not yet been decided. We are ratifying what heaven has already executed. The seal has broken. This prayer does not open it. It is the formal response of those who have been inside the break, acknowledging what God can no longer conceal. We release the identity of the one God forgot. Every name that silence gave us, invisible, bypassed, chosen last, irrelevant, positioned outside the room where decisions were made. Those names were never ours. They were a counterfeit installed during the concealment season to prevent us from recognizing that protective custody and abandonment do not look the same from the inside. We are not the ones God overlooked. We are the ones He hid. That distinction is permanent. We release it now. We release every prayer we believed evaporated unanswered, every word spoken in faith that returned in silence, every altar, every dawn greeted with expectation that closed in stillness. We declare this: nothing evaporated. Every word entered the compression. Every prayer became part of the accumulating pressure behind the dam. What we spoke in the dark was received and held, not because it lacked power, but because it was being combined with everything else God was accumulating before the release. We release the interpretation that delay means rejection. We break agreement with the belief that silence is verdict, that God's timing reflects preference for someone else over us. The silence was not His preference, it was His precision. We permanently reassign the definition. Delay was accumulation, accumulation was preparation, and preparation was the love language of a God who does not trickle. We release the weight of every season we misread as evidence against us. We release the fear that the classified name does not apply to us specifically, the suspicion that the unsealed one, the turning point, the sent, are titles written for someone more prepared, more visibly qualified, more obviously chosen. That fear is the enemy's final defense against this moment landing. It is not humility, it is preemptive retreat. We are not volunteering ourselves for names we do not deserve. We are receiving names already written before we had the option to disqualify ourselves. I call forward the unsealed one. What was sealed in you, the word, the weight, the mission held under compression through every silent season, is now released and operational. You no longer carry a sealed commission, you carry an executed one. What you speak from this moment bears the authority of what has already been cleared for release. You are not requesting clearance. Clearance was granted. You are authorized to move in the name that was sealed, not to exclude you, but to protect you until now. I call forward the turning point. The axis is fixed. What was fractured in the bloodline behind you, what was bent in the relational history that carried your name, it turns here. The hinge does not negotiate the weight of the door. It holds the axis while the door moves. You are now the structural point, where everything connected to your name rotates into new alignment. What could not straighten for generations begins to straighten because you are standing here, named, fixed, immovable. I call forward the sent. The deployment has already occurred in the heavenly record. What follows now is not preparation but arrival. You are mid-mission. The ceremony you were waiting for was held in the spiritual before this season began, and you were not present because you were already inside the field. Stop waiting for permission. Stop auditing your adequacy. The sent requires only one thing: to continue moving in the direction of the commission that already bears their name. Type, "I am sent," in the comments right now. Not as interaction, as a covenant inscription. You are marking your position in the register at the exact timestamp this seal broke open, the Sunday when God could no longer hold this back from you. Heaven already has your name at this moment. What you type is your agreement with what was written before you arrived here. The record does not need your confirmation to be true, but you need the act of agreement to feel what is already real. Return to the image one final time. Water behind a dam, held back not by absence but by precision. The dam has broken, the water is moving. But remember what was added. Compression changes composition. What is flooding into your visible world is not what entered the reservoir. It was transformed by everything it held through the silence. You are not receiving a restored version of what you had before the waiting began. You are receiving something the silence itself created. and it could only exist because of the hold. Do not say amen yet. We are not finished. What I am about to speak over you is the voice of the Father, answering not the general hope of a tired believer, but the specific dread you carried in your most private moments, in the rooms no one else entered, in the hours you came closest to stopping. Stay with me. The weight of this word has one more layer. It has your name on it. I place a hedge around your mind, active, not passive, declared now in the authority of the word that just broke open over your life. Every thought pattern the enemy attempts to reconstruct from the old season, the internal logic of nothing changed, the familiar voice that will try to reclassify what happened here as emotion rather than transaction, is covered. Isaiah 26:3 is not an aspiration, it is an architecture. Your mind is kept in perfect peace because it is fixed, not straining, not performing, fixed on what is already true. The delay echo reaches a sealed mind and finds no entry. I cover every relationship in your next season, those already present and those being positioned in advance. The voice of reason will arrive through faces you trust, dressed in love and legitimate concern. I do not cover you against those people. I cover the word you carry within those relationships, protecting the commission from the doubt they carry unknowingly, until what was unsealed becomes visible enough that no explanation is required. What is alive in you today does not need their agreement to operate. It needs your protection and your faithful silence until the evidence speaks what you cannot yet say. I cover your classified name, the unsealed one, the turning point, the scent, against every form of identity substitution that will present itself in the weeks ahead. No title, no public recognition, no affirmation from voices you have long valued carries the authority to define what was written on the white stone before this Sunday existed. What heaven sealed, only heaven defines. I declare your classified commission armored, visible to the right eyes, hidden from the wrong ones, and fully operational regardless of what the visible world has yet confirmed. We break the delay echo. What looks like the old season arriving again is the enemy's counterfeit, not God's answer, and its architecture has no authority over what was unsealed today. We break the voice of reason. No trusted human voice, however loving, carries standing to override the commission written on the white stone that now bears your name. We break the identity substitution. No title, no recognition, no publicly affirmed role replaces the classified name that heaven has already recorded, and this Sunday set permanently free. We declare over this life, as those who have received all three seals, who have stood at the exact convergence of Kairos and calendar, who have allowed the full weight of a compressed silent season to land without deflecting it, that what God could no longer hold back in the heavenly record is now irrevocably in motion in the visible world. This is not a petition. This is a ratification. Hebrews 11:1 calls faith the substance of things hoped for. Substance means material. What was spoken in faith through every silent year became material. The seal is broken. The substance is here. We declare that not one word spoken in faith across this entire silent season was lost or recorded as failure in the celestial archive. Every prayer offered at an altar that produced no visible return entered the compression and was held, accumulating, combining, changing composition under the force of its own containment. The reservoir was not empty, it was filling. What breaks open now carries the combined weight of every word ever spoken in trust and met with silence, transformed by the pressure into something that could not have existed without the hold. Nothing evaporated, everything arrived. We declare that the generational dimension of this unsealing is already in effect. What turns here sends vibration through every connected surface, backward into what was fractured before this person arrived, and forward into territory they will never see but whose shape they are determining now. The name brought forward in the prayer of agreement, the one who was almost released as too far gone or too late to recover. Their restoration was written into this seal before this message was prepared. Joseph's release did not change only Joseph. The entire fractured bloodline came to its knees, so it is now. We seal this word against every mechanism of delay, dilution, or distraction the enemy will attempt to insert between this moment and the manifestation. Over the coming days, every unexpected silence, every door that holds, every non-answer that carries the texture of before. We declare that what broke open today does not reclose. The unsealing is irreversible. The deployment is permanent. A commission once disclosed in the heavenly record cannot be revoked by circumstance, by the measured opinion of careful voices, or by the internal skeptic trained by prior seasons to protect itself from hope. We stand together as those named, as those sent, as those who have been inside the palace the entire time without knowing it. And we receive. Not with the posture of the still waiting, but with the posture of the already arrived. We do not reach forward towards something coming. We acknowledge what is already here, already in motion, already carving geography that has no prior map. We step into the commission not because we are ready, but because readiness was never the condition. The condition was this Sunday, the condition is now met. We receive in full what heaven has been unable to hold any longer. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Receive those words at whatever depth they can reach right now. Not as aspiration, not as encouragement, but as a declaratory statement describing what has already occurred in the celestial record. What was sealed before your silence began, what broke open on this Sunday, what you carry out of this moment into every door that opens next, it is already written. These 3 sentences are not the beginning of something. They are the disclosure of something that began long before you arrived here. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Speak it now, aloud if you are able, in your mind if you cannot. This is not repetition for rhetorical weight. This is the formal completion of the commissioning sequence. A deployment order, once received, requires acknowledgement from the one it names. You are not performing an act of worship. You are entering into agreement with a record that already bears your name. Speak it back to the God who wrote it. You are the operative named. Acknowledge your commission. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Do not say amen yet. Sit in this. Let what happened here move past the surface layer of emotion, past the layer of intellectual agreement, all the way down to the place where what is true becomes part of what you simply know, without having to remember it, without having to feel it, without having to defend it. Hold the weight of it. Let it settle. Now, you may say amen. Send this to someone whose faith is still standing, but whose hands are beginning to tremble under the weight of how long they have been holding. Not someone who has collapsed, someone still upright, still faithful, still showing up to Sundays that keep arriving without the answer they were promised. They do not need a message from you. They do not need an explanation. Let the word find them the way it found you. At the precise moment, they can no longer safely go without it. You already know exactly who I am describing. You have been thinking of them since the first seal broke open. What took place here was not a viewing, it was a threshold. You arrived carrying a name the silence had given you, invisible, bypassed, held outside the room where things were decided. And you leave carrying 3 names written in a register that predates every season of waiting you have endured. The geography ahead of you has no prior map. It could not exist on any prior map, because it can only be carved by water that was held under compression until this Sunday and released into motion today. You are already inside the flood. The commission is already in your hands. Walk.